Welcome to the first standalone episode of A24 Quest. We've been doing this for several weeks on the podcast where we talk about two A24 movies every week. And just to try something new, we're going to make it its own video this week so we have more room to talk about other things in the actual podcast. So, let's get right into it. We've covered a lot of movies so far, but this week is Life After Beth versus...
Versus?
Yeah, actually, I was thinking we do it in like a versus format. Like at the end of the episode, decide which one was better. You know what I mean?
I'm glad you told me this now.
it's like a death match.
All right, let's do it.
So we got Life After Beth versus The Sea of Trees, and it would also. Actually, now I'm thinking of all the ideas we could do with it as the episode started. But do you want to talk about one movie over the other? We could like take turns explaining each movie.
Not in particular. I don't care.
Okay. Well, I think we should start with Life After Beth because I think I have a little less to say about Life After Beth. I have no idea what you thought of either of these movies, but I actually quite liked both of them. What was your thought on Life After Beth?
Life After Beth is a interesting story about this boy who has a girlfriend, and then she dies, and then she comes back, and then she's a zombie.
And it's about as simple as that. I mean, Anna Kendrick is in it, but like...
Yeah, John C. Reilly's in it. Aubrey Plaza's in it.
Here's the thing about Life After Beth. It's the first, like, real comedy we've covered. Unless you count, like, Obvious Child, but Obvious Child is a little more... It's like a drama comedy, but Life After Beth is just a full-on comedy.
Mm-hmm.
I guess Charles Swan was a comedy, too, but we hated that one,
yeah.
So... full-on comedy, and it was... I expected to not like it. Like, from the very beginning, Dane DeHaan's this, like, moody emo kid, and I was like, it's gonna be, like, a kind of humor that doesn't really appeal to me. But it's pretty funny, and it's not even funny just because of the scenario. There's some surprisingly good comedic performances from the likes of Dane DeHaan, surprisingly enough, and Aubrey Plaza. Unsurprisingly, John C. Reilly's just great in it, but he's great in everything. So
He plays him that much.
You didn't like him that much?
No, not in this one.
It's kind of an unusual role for him. He's just the like weird father, like the overprotective father.
Yeah, it wasn't
just the way he delivers certain lines just got a chuckle out of me. He's just... I found the character funny. I found him funny more than I found the character funny.
Yeah.
Like, he's just a funny guy, and he makes any character inherently likable, basically. I forget the name of the actress that played the mother, as in Beth's mother.
Mm-hmm.
I know I've seen her in a bunch of stuff, but I forget her name off the top of my head.
Matthew... Is it Gary or Greg Gubler is in it?
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Who's he play?
He's the brother of what's his face?
Right. Dane DeHaan.
Yeah. The guy who like wants to shoot a bunch of people.
See, here's the thing about this movie. It's not a masterpiece, and it's pretty, it's pretty lame. But honestly, I had an insanely good time with it.
Yeah.
It felt like a really bad B movie, and I think that was kind of intentional. No.
Oh, here comes Sam.
Every time the cat jumps on the table. Yeah, no, it had that feel of like a really good bad B movie in a lot of scenes, and I was like, I'm just enjoying this, and I don't know, half the stuff I laughed at probably wasn't intentional. Aubrey Plaza's like zombie is so unconvincing that it's like, I was like It's probably not what they were going for, but it was just Aubrey Plaza trying to do a zombie, and it was really funny in that regard.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
So the caveat I have for saying I really enjoyed this movie is that it's not really for the reason that I think it was intended to be enjoyed. There are some cool scenes, like the one where Aubrey Plaza destroys the beach house. I was like, that's situationally, that's pretty funny, because it ends with the beach house just in flames after they have a mild argument.
I like the part where she has the stove strapped to her back and then she ends up falling backwards.
Oh, yeah.
Like a turtle. I laughed.
The whole... There's a lot of situations that are just so absurd, they're funny. I will say, there's a moment where the movie reached, like, peak hilarity. It's the moment when... it's a little bit of a spoiler. I'm not going to explain why the scene's so funny, but basically it's the scene where we understand that the zombie apocalypse, like, is a thing. Like, he goes back to his house, and, like, we see the first few zombies that aren't Beth at his house. That scene, I was just laughing out loud. I was like, this is amazing. If the movie could have kept that energy for the rest of it, I would have given it like a 10 out of 10. But it kind of peters down after that.
Yeah, I mean, it was a slow start. It was kind of, wasn't fantastic all the way through, but it was solid.
No, it had moments of complete gold, and the rest was like passable at worst.
Yeah.
It was just a fun movie. It didn't really overstay its welcome that much. I mean, the whole last act is kind of just it has the same thing with the last act of Black Dynamite, where the last act is just complete absurdity, just over the top craziness. And it worked somewhat well because it's like, this is a zombie apocalypse, but I like the idea of the zombies not knowing they're zombies. That was kind of fun.
I like the idea of zombies just like addicts.
Yeah.
They just like addicts.
They just like addicts, and they like dirt.
Just like addicts. I don't.
Yeah. No, but seriously, if I were to like rewatch a scene from that movie, I would definitely go back and watch the scene where everybody's going crazy in their house because like their grandpa just showed up. He's been dead for years.
He's like, I'm gonna go to the attic. Like, why are you going to the attic?
It's hard to explain. That scene is hilarious.
Yeah.
I was in hysterics.
Who are you? Oh, they're the old owners of the house. Get out of my house.
Because it keeps escalating every...
I'm going up to my attic. It's my house.
What was it, like, every time you think it's reached peak ridiculousness, like, it one-ups itself? Like, it's like, literally, they look at the TV, and there's, like, an old celebrity who's long dead, and it's like, oh, look!
Yeah. Oh, I used to love his.
Yeah. He's been dead for years. And it's like... It was very funny, and the whole movie, there's a lot of good chuckles. I laughed quite a bit. And, it's super fun.
It had some classic, like, Exorcist mixed with, like, Shaun of the Dead mixed with mediocre.
Yeah, I got a Shaun of the Dead vibe in several scenes.
Yeah, very much so.
And Exorcists, I can see that, too, because... I think when Aubrey Plaza was playing the zombie, she didn't know what a zombie was, but she happened to have watched The Exorcist recently, so she just did that.
I mean, yeah, her portrayal is very Exorcist-esque.
Yeah, it's very, very Exorcist-esque. And, what can I say? I don't even know where this ranks in the A24 quest, because it's just a fun movie. It's not a great movie, but I had a really good time with it. I could see this becoming like a cult classic a few years down the road. It has the potential, I think.
I don't know. It's a little too forgettable to become a cult classic.
I suppose, yeah.
It was good. I don't think I would suggest anybody to like go out of their way and watch it. But if you got an hour and 20 minutes to just kind of waste, go ahead. Yeah, it's a decent time.
Dane DeHaan wasn't terrible in it, which surprised me. He started very terrible.
I don't know him.
He was the Green Goblin in the new Amazing Spider-Man movie. Amazing Spider-Man 2. He was like Peter Parker's friend.
Was he?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, he was Harry Osborn.
Wasn't
In
that
Amazing Spider-Man 2, not the Sam Raimi Spider-Man 2.
Oh,
Spider-Man.
okay, because I was thinking it was a Franco.
No. That
was the
in
old
the
one.
Sam Raimi Spider-Man. It was James Franco.
Okay.
In the
Amazing
Spider-Man, it was Dane
In
DeHaan.
2?
Yes. in
Okay,
2.
I didn't see 2. That's why.
I haven't seen all of it. I've seen enough of it to know he was really terrible in it, like amazingly terrible.
Okay.
And Dane DeHaan in this, it's like he is just playing Dane DeHaan, and he's just like this weird goblin kid.
Weird goblin kid. All right.
But I think like as the movie went on, he was doing okay. He was doing a decent job. So I was like, okay, whatever. You win this round, Dane DeHaan. In the beginning, he was so laughable. And at the time I was like, there's no way this isn't supposed to be a joke. But like as it went on, as the movie, I saw the things in context of the rest of the movie. I was like, I think he was trying to be serious in the beginning of the movie, and it was like, it's like his brother makes fun of him at dinner, and he's like, oh, whatever. And he's just like so like this huffy emo, and I'm like, oh man, Dane, don't do it to yourself. So yeah, do you have any other thoughts about Life After Beth?
Not really. I liked almost everybody who was in it.
Yeah.
So that was good. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not a very memorable movie, but it's a fun one, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So check it out. You know what is a somewhat memorable movie? The Sea of Trees. Here's the thing. When I said the Sea of Trees had, I think in the last episode of Multimedia Club, I said Sea of Trees has kind of like low critic scores. And after seeing it, I can see why. And when I was done with the movie, I was like, I wonder how low. And it's got a 28 on Metacritic out of 100.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely really harsh.
Yeah, I think that's too low.
Like,
but I have a theory.
This movie
on
has
why.
a lot of issues, but what's your theory?
So this movie is about Matthew McConaughey. He's like, I'm gonna go kill myself, and so he goes to Japan to go kill himself in the suicide forest by Mount Fuji.
Right.
He goes and he's gonna take the medicine and kill himself, and then Ken Watanabe comes wandering out of the woods. And he helps him. He's like, hey, mister, I'm going to help you. And
it's kind of like Swiss Army Man.
Kind of. In a sense, yeah. And then he proceeds to go on this adventure with Ken Watanabe and trying to save themselves and survive in this forest to get out. Yeah. And meanwhile, there's interspliced segments of him with his wife back before... all of this had happened. Right. Explaining why he was there and what he was going through. My theory of why it did so poorly is because it didn't do a great job exploring the ideas of depression or suicide.
Right, yeah. The idea that he wants to commit suicide is just like a foregone conclusion. There's a disconnect between what happened and him committing suicide. Mm-hmm. And I think a big problem with this movie is Matthew McConaughey. When Matthew McConaughey acts depressed in this movie, I could not take him seriously. And I don't think Matthew McConaughey is nearly as good an actor as some people give him credit. He is good in Interstellar. He was okay in that. But in this, he's okay for most of it. But by the end, I was just not with him as a character. I was like, this is just Matthew McConaughey trying to be serious, and it really fell apart for me near the end. But the rest of the movie was good. This is why I said in Discord it's a really good movie with a really bad ending, in my opinion.
The ending wasn't as terrible as I thought it was gonna be. Actually, the ending is... Let's make it spoiler.
Just go full spoilers?
Full spoiler.
Well,
Because
This is
it's an experience movie. It's not like you need to know
Yeah,
what's
yeah.
gonna happen.
Well, it's like the thing that you don't know going into it is that it's technically a ghost movie, which it is. There's hints of it being a ghost movie, like earlier on in the movie, but I had no clue that Ken Watanabe is just a ghost the whole time. Like, we didn't even... He's just a spirit. He's like the reincarnation of his dead wife as a spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Which, that's a very weird twist, and I wasn't really expecting them to go that way with it, but... And as it was getting revealed, I was like, oh, are they going to make this really stupid? And they almost did, but I think they kind of got away with it. There are a couple of really contrived things where, like, he writes down those two names.
Yeah.
And then at the end, it's like, oh, it's a color and a season. And he specifically said that he doesn't know what his wife's favorite color or favorite season is.
Yeah.
And I was like, I get it, but it's definitely kind of stupid.
Well, yeah, and of course the person who told him that was a kid in his class back in America who just so happened
to know Japanese.
Who grew up in Japan.
Yeah, just this random kid. What if
That part was dumb, I agree. But as far as this movie goes, I'm actually giving both these movies kind of the same score. It's either a 6 or a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I agree. I think I went more for 7 with Life After Beth, just from the sheer entertainment. I can't go higher than 7 because it wasn't an amazing movie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going more like 6 for Sea of Trees because the ending was so just illogical and stupid.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. The ending in concept is great because it's like it's this great twist of it's like, ooh, Ken Watanabe was just a spirit and he was just a guide for Matthew McConaughey basically. And it's like that's a cool twist. That's a cool reveal. I mean, like the movie paints Aokigahara as like this very mystical place, which the Japanese locals see it as, which is something that Logan Paul needs to learn a thing about, but...
Really? That's what we're doing? We're bringing that up?
I was wondering how far I could get without bringing up Logan Paul. I knew I couldn't do it, because we're watching a movie about the Suicide Forest after the whole Logan Paul debacle, so, right. Like, you know, you can't not mention it.
Great.
But no, it paints it as this very mystical and spiritual place. And it's interesting to me. It's a very interesting concept. If one doesn't expect this movie to take a supernatural turn, they're going to be very put off by the ending because it right near the end there, it takes a very supernatural turn.
I mean, it's not even incredibly supernatural. Oh my goodness. My throat just closed entirely.
Yes.
It's not entirely supernatural though. Even it's more. He leaves, he gets saved, rescued, goes to the hospital, gets cured of everything bad that's wrong with him, and then he goes back into the woods using breadcrumbs and string to find his way back.
Can I say the fact that
I'm sorry, I'm dying.
The fact that he used paper, like crumpled up pieces of paper to find his way back was so stupid, it took me out of the movie. Because it's like one breeze of wind and your bread trail is just gone, right? Like it's just little pieces of paper that go everywhere. Anyway, that was dumb.
I mean, you don't really get breeze under the trees.
Well, we saw like how windy it gets in there a few times though, because they woke up that one morning. It was so windy that the fire was out and they couldn't start a new one.
Well, I just assumed that it was out because of rain. And
no, it was really windy. I watched it just before we did this, so it was really windy. So they've established there's wind in the forest. There wasn't wind at the time of his putting the paper down, but it's like if it flares up all of a sudden, all of his paper's gone. So it's not a very effective bread trail. But I don't know. That's just a minor thing. I mean, it just. Logic in movies sometimes bugs me like that. Sometimes I'm okay with it. For some reason, that one got under my skin. I don't know why.
Okay. I didn't pick up on that one at all.
Okay. Well,
Interesting.
Maybe I'm too nitpicky. I definitely am too nitpicky. I mean, but here's the thing.
How did you feel about the wife and that entire story?
I thought the wife was kind of a well, I'm not going to use very mean terms here, but she was not a good person.
Oh, really?
Initially, every scene with the wife, I was like, what is wrong with you? She's just like Matthew McConaughey is just this scientist, and she's like, her main argument is that his job doesn't pay all that much because he's just like a professor at like a college, and he does scientific research, and she's like, she like has a job where she makes more money than him, and she's like upset that she's the bread earner of the household.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was kind of, well, that's kind of a backwards view. Why can't the woman be the worker of the household, you know?
Well, no,
I mean, I'm not saying that it's bad that she thought that. I'm just saying that, you know, it's like, I don't know.
Well, I don't think that's where it was going.
No, that's not where it was going. I that's just an interpretation I drew out of it, where I was like, well, it's like, you know, I mean, it's like yes, one spouse is probably going to make more money than the other, and she's upset that it's her.
I don't necessarily. That's how it was. That's how I perceived it, at least. Because when it comes down to it, if he's making $20,000 a year and she's making $60,000 a year,
yeah,
then there's a good $40,000 difference. Which, depending on who's using the money, which we never find out in the movie at all,
they have a nice house.
It could create an issue.
Yeah, and they have a pretty nice house.
Yeah.
In one shot, they had like a stone wall, like a stone fireplace. So I was like, God, this is a nice house.
Yeah. And so, I mean, if they have a nice house like that, then she's probably making even more than $60,000.
Maybe, yeah. She's got a very lucrative job. But then, as it went on, it turns out it's not so much about their jobs.
No.
It's more about their the fact that he cheated on her. And then, as the information kept coming in, I was like, okay, she's like, I can kind of understand her position. The whole movie, maybe it wasn't set up well, because it definitely looked like she was just... Matthew McConaughey constantly says, like, as he's explaining it to Ken Watanabe, he's like, she was bad to me, but I was even worse to her. And the whole movie, he's like nice to her, and she just completely tears into him. And I was like, if he's telling the truth, we didn't really see him being terrible to her. Like, every time he did something really, like, every time he fired back at her is, you know, like, out of defense because she's being really awful to him, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So...
Well, yeah, and they never showed anything about, you know, him cheating or anything like that, so...
Yeah. And the twist in their storyline, the major twist, where, like, she gets cancer but, like, survives the cancer... The twist after that is extremely obvious. I saw it coming a mile away.
Same,
I was like, well, obviously she still has to die. And, like, they made a point of him driving with her. Like, driving behind her in the ambulance. I'm like, oh, there's no way this ambulance is going to get hit by, like, a big truck or something.
Yeah.
It's like, this is set up in a way that there's no way that's going to happen, right?
I think that would have been a better scene to open up with.
Yeah. Yeah,
like,
maybe.
Literally open
so
the
that
movie.
You, like, know how she died, I guess. I don't know.
I think that would have been because think about it. At this time, you know that he's suicidal. You know he went to the woods. You know that all the previous relationship problems have happened. You know that she had got cancer. And then it's like, okay, well, if she got cancer and then she gets better from cancer, and he's still suicidal and going to this forest.
Yeah,
there's a huge disconnect here.
There's no way you wouldn't see the twist coming at that point. So it's just kind of the sequence of events isn't thought out that well.
Yeah. So if they could have done something better there, it would have really helped.
Yeah. Did I ever have any other like major issues with the movie other than McConaughey's acting? Not really. I mean, it's a comfortable movie. The whole time I was watching it, there was a couple things that were dumb, but like I was just appreciating it.
It's pretty.
It's a pretty movie. It's a pretty like location. It's a pretty environment, and it's just two guys stranded in the middle of nowhere.
There's a surprising amount of just random dead bodies laying everywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't think that's necessarily factual.
Well, I don't know. I would have to look up the statistics, but a lot of people kill themselves there. Like a lot.
Understandably.
Even Logan Paul could just go out and find a body that nobody had found yet, because a lot of people do die in that forest. So, I mean, what? I'm just stating the obvious. Even he could go find a body there, so it's not entirely unbelievable that they'd find a body or two. Although they find several.
They do.
It was a little over the top in that regard. Yeah.
And no, I don't know if that's factual or not, but I was reading through a few things here and there, and there was, a few people that were saying that that's not really how it is, or if it is, it's very, very far and in between. So, I don't know. Something I don't know. It'd be interesting to know.
I mean, I think the claim that if you want to find a dead body, Aokigahara is like a better place to go than most, that's probably true. But like the idea that it's just going to be this like haunted house ride where you see like bodies everywhere, that's not true, which is not really how it's portrayed in the movie, but it's like the idea that you just go on a hike and you see like 6 to 7 to 8 bodies, that's probably not gonna be a thing.
Well, I mean, even in just the opening he sees 2 just walking to where he's getting.
Yeah, if you count the skeleton.
Yeah, so
right,
it just seemed excessive.
It makes for a somber and creepy atmosphere for the movie, though. Not that this movie is what I describe as creepy. It's more thought-provoking and slightly depressing. A little it's like it has a happy ending, but the whole movie is pretty somber in tone. And I guess that's pretty predictable. You like start it up. Like when we were talking about it, you can go back and watch the last episode where you're like, I think it's going to be a really sad movie. And I believe I said something along the lines of it's going to have like a happy ending. It's going to be happier than we think it's going to be. And I was right, but I think there's nobody who didn't see that coming. So it's a comfortable movie. It has flaws, but it's like if you want like a like a Castaway with 2 people or a Swiss Army Man where the dead body's alive, it's a solid film.
If you want that, just go watch Castaway or Swiss Army Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not as good as Castaway or Swiss Army Man, but I would say here's the people I would market this movie towards is those who are interested in Japanese culture and Aokigahara especially, because it's a very fascinating movie on that front. As somebody who is interested in that kind of thing, I enjoyed it, and I liked that they did the paranormal thing too. I was like, sweet, that interests me. Maybe I was a little biased on it because of that, because there's just you don't see. There was that movie, The Forest, that was just this but a horror movie essentially. And it was stupid, apparently. This is like, this shows it in a realistic light where it's like, it's not a horror movie. It's just the place is very freaky, like it is in real life, because there's just hundreds of people that go to kill themselves there. It's a very freaky environment. And then this movie, it's creepy, but it's not horrific because it's real life. It's like when you go to Aokigahara, it's not going to be like, it's not going to turn into Blair Witch all of a sudden. I mean, like, just because a lot of people kill themselves there, it's just a normal location. But
I mean, that's if spirits aren't a real thing.
Yeah, who knows? But we're not going to get into that discussion here because it's a long discussion that I have strong viewpoints on in several stories. So,
do you believe in ghosts?
I do.
Okay.
See, no. Okay, here's the thing. I believe I don't like the whole like spirit reincarnation thing. It's like I kind of do. I don't know. I'm undecided. But do I believe there's such a thing as like invisible whatevers, you know? Like paranormal there's a paranormal dimension. I'm going to sound like a crazy person now. But the idea that there's more to the world than what meets the eye, I'm totally on board with that, even if the traditional idea of ghosts is a little silly. So, yes and no to that question.
I'm going to take that quote that I believe in invisible whatevers, and I'm going to use that everywhere.
Yes, sure.
That's going to be my new, like, religious mantra.
Yeah.
I believe in spiritual whatevers.
Yeah. Well, we're at almost exactly 30 minutes here, so it's probably a good time to call it. What's
happening next week? Tuscan.
Oh yeah, let's decide the next movies. It's my choice.
Drum roll.
So it's Tusk,
which is a great
Kill
movie.
Me. And let me look at A24 here real quick. I probably should have done this beforehand. I'm sorry. I'm never prepared for these things.
Yeah, me neither.
Okay, so let's think about it logically. Tusk is horror comedy, right? I want to balance that out. Oh, yeah. I think I'm going to go The Black Coat's Daughter, because that's a horror movie, but not a comedy. That looks really interesting, and Jay Bowman of Red Letter Media really liked it, so I'm willing to give it a shot.
All right. I'm so excited to see Tusk.
I'm excited to see Black Coat's Daughter. So there's something for everybody next week.
I don't know anything about that one, but Tusk, I'm so excited to see it. I want to see your face when watching that movie.
Yeah.
We should set up a camera just to record your face, just to see how many eye rolls we get.
Yeah. I'm going to be so checked out during Tusk. You have no idea. Okay. And at least we can finally put the meme to rest, you know?
What if I pick it again next week?
I mean, you're not allowed to. See, I make the rules here.
No, you don't.
You can't repick movies.
Nobody said that.
I did.
No, you didn't.
Okay, you're right. I can't prove that. Okay, so our movies next week are Tusk and
Tusk.
And Tusk again. Stay tuned, and the Black Coat's Daughter. So,
can we just do like a hour-long podcast on just Tusk?
Yeah. We'll do that and not Mother that we've been promising to do. So, fitting with the Versus theme, which do you think was better, Life After Beth or The Sea of Trees? And I think I've already kind of spoiled which one I think was better.
I don't know. They're kind of still in the same boat for me.
Okay. If you right now were forced to rewatch one of them, which one would you choose?
Probably Life After Beth, just because I'm a comedy guy.
Yeah, I'm going Life After Beth as well. So it seems to be, this is a close week though. Like it seems to be somewhat unanimous that Life After Beth just edges it out, but like they're both pretty good. And the theme, they have a common theme is death. And they have a common trait, which is they're both pretty critically panned. And we actually liked both of them. So
what's interesting is both of them had user reviews around like 5. So it's a solid.
That's fair.
So
too.
It's a solid 50 split between people who liked it and didn't like it across IMDb, kinda.
I think they both would be 5 out of 10 if it weren't for Life After Beth had actors I really like in it, like John C. Reilly and Aubrey Plaza, and The Sea of Trees, if it were any location other than the Suicide Forest in Japan, it would have been a 5 out of 10, but like for me it's like that's just such an interesting thing to me. So
yeah,
they both had elements that bumped them up for me, but 5 out of 10's fair for both of them.
Well, I mean, critically, Life After Beth actually did better than Sea of Trees, I do believe.
Yeah, because
Trees had the 30% or something.
Yeah, right.
And Life After Beth, I think, had like another 50% on Metacritic or whatever.
And I can see that because it's like comedies are generally better, well received.
Well, yeah, because it can get away with being kind of dumb. And
they didn't take it. They didn't take it seriously, and therefore it's yeah. So okay, we'll see you next time. Let us know if this new format where the things are separate is going to work for you guys. Personally, I like it. Josh is like on the fence, I can tell, but
I don't care.
Okay,
It's good.
All right, so we'll.
I was just trying to figure out why.
I had no reason.
Okay.
Literally, I was like. Well, the main reason is so we can free up more time for the actual podcast. That's the official answer. The unofficial answer is just I'm a neat freak and I like things being like segregated.
Okay.
I shouldn't have used the word segregated.
Oh, God.
Oh, it's time to end. All right, thanks for watching the first standalone episode of A24 Quest. Join us next time where the South will rise again.
Oh, boy.
See you later.
You're the...